Hey, do you like my hat? Did it get your attention? Yeah, so that's our topic today is attention getters. And attention getters, there's other words for it. For example, you could call it a hook, or you could call it an attention grabber, or sometimes people call it a teaser. But this is something that brings the audience into your speech, as opposed to just starting your speech and saying, my topic is ping pong. You might say something like, for example, I'm going to talk today about a sport, and this is a sport that can be played indoors or outdoors. This is a sport that is easy to play or hard, depending on your opponent. And it's a sport that has many, many, many advocates. There are very few injuries during this sport. People are not hurt very much when they're playing this sport. This sport is a favorite sport of the character Forrest Gump in the movie Forrest Gump. And this sport is known as table tennis, or as some people call it, ping pong. All right, so what I did there was, rather than just simply like saying what the topic is, I did something else. And there's so many different ways to do an attention getter. You can tell a story, you can have a joke, you can have a riddle, you can have a rhyme, you can have a song, a photo, a video. There are just so many options. I had one student once that knew how to play guitar. She knew how to play acoustic guitar. So she pulled out her acoustic guitar, and for attention getter, she played guitar and she took a Taylor Swift song and rewrote the lyrics Weird Al Yankovic style. So it was related to her topic, which was the mating rituals of tree frogs. And that worked great for her. So yeah, although don't take that too far. I had one student that was overly excited about that particular method, and he was a fan of the rock band The Who. So he did a song about water ballet, loosely based on an acoustic version of a Metallica song. And then afterwards, he broke the guitar in front of the audience, like The Who. And it was super scary because everybody thought he was really violent. And then he reformed himself and did this great speech about water ballet, but everybody was freaked out by the guitar being broken. And an acoustic guitar being broken is super loud as well. So anyway, don't take it too far. But the idea of an attention getter is a good one. And the main idea is to have one, actually. A lot of folks don't have one. They don't think of how they're going to start their speech. And it's always better to actually have an attention getter than to not have one. And also, what some people do, though, because they don't have an attention getter, they realize it right when they start, and they sort of freak out, and they use as their attention getter kind of an opportunity to apologize for not practicing their speech more. So their attention getter is not like, oh, hi, today my topic is ping pong, but they'll come up and they'll say, oh, I didn't get a chance to practice very much. I'm sorry I threw this together at the last minute, but anyway, my speech topic is ping pong. So they're really not starting off with ping pong. They do have something else to say before they say ping pong, but it's still not working because it's just them complaining about how their speech isn't going to be very good. And a lot of times the speech is actually good, but it sets up this negative expectation, and it takes the audience a few minutes to get over that negative expectation. So I wouldn't apologize for not practicing your speech at the very beginning, or talk about, if you had a cold. A lot of people say, I'm sorry if I sound terrible, I have a cold. And a lot of times I can't even notice that they have a cold. And also it's just starting off talking about a cold, which is great if they have a cold and the topic is colds. But otherwise, if they're going to give a speech about how to play racquetball, talking about the cold at the very beginning doesn't work very well. And I think you'll have fun with writing your attention getter. One pitfall a lot of people fall into is they sit down to write their speech and they think, okay, the very first part of the speech that this audience is going to hear is the attention getter. So I'm going to write the attention getter first. You can do that if you want to, but I would recommend instead not writing the attention getter right away, because it tends to be a really creative aspect of your speech. And so to sit down and have all that pressure at the very beginning of the speech writing process to write this speech attention getter, which is the most creative part, is just a lot of pressure, and it can sort of create this kind of writer's block. So what I recommend people do is write the rest of the speech, maybe even start by writing the body of the speech, and then go back later perhaps and write the attention getter when all the pressure's off, or just write attention getter, or just put something very simple like a rhetorical question. Like I did at the beginning of this. I said, do you like my hat? I don't really expect you all to tell me whether or not you like the hat necessarily, but do some kind of an attention getter, a very generic one. And then if you want, you can keep that attention getter because at least you have one. And then if over time you think of some other types of attention getters, you can always just go in there and add in another additional attention getter or modify that attention getter with something more creative. But the key there is to have one. And then you end up tying back to it in the conclusion as well, which you'll notice if you watch sample speeches and whatnot. And it can be a lot of fun. So have fun with your attention getter. This is one of the main things that can distinguish you from a student that never took a speech class when you go into the workplace, because you'll go there and people will start off saying, my topic is the human resources department. And if they've taken a speech class, they're more likely to have some kind of attention getter. And then eventually, obviously, you do let the audience know that your topic is ping pong or human resources or whatever. You don't keep them in the dark forever, or not announce the topic. You eventually do reveal the topic, but you always start off with an attention getter. So have fun and enjoy. And we're looking forward to hearing all your creative attention getters. Thanks so much.